3 weeks ago, in a historically black town in Ohio, neo-Nazis hung a flag as well as other signs. Lincoln Heights is a historically black community where residents, and when they saw this, those residents took action and took a stand against these white supremacists. The issue is how the police handled the situation. No arrests or citations were issued. Evendale officials hired a third-party team to evaluate their handling of the demonstration. The Evendale Police Department released a bodycam video of 10 officers on the scene. Here is that compilation.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I
know.
What's up? It's a war, bitch.
Sir, if you don't mind. I know.
Y'all need to get them the out of here.
But
this is bullshit.
I know.
It's causing a ruckus. Y'all about to get y'all let us do that in our own neighborhood. Stop playing!
Sir, get back, okay? Thank you.
Y'all got mask on because y'all bitches!
Sir, get
You
back.
got a mask on because you a bitch!
Sir, get back. Get back.
I got my own house. I pay property taxes, bitch!
Sir.
I own my
Sir, get back.
I own my
Sir.
Don't do it. I own my
Do you understand why we're out here?
my guys aren't going to get
Forever 21. I think it's been resolved. Nobody's like on phone.
Get down here. We can get out of here.
Okay.
And we might need an escort. We got a vehicle right over there, a Jeep with a dog in it. One of our guys need to be escorted right over there.
Okay. Can you guys start by taking the bag?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We'll get that all
Yes, sir.
taken care of, okay?
Yes, sir.
How y'all gonna let them come in our community and do this, man?
They are allowed to protest.
And we are too.
Right.
Don't give it to them. This is what they want. Stop.
Hey, come on. Hey, mother. It's not worth it.
Stop.
No.
Hey, come on. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I got the wrong neighborhood.
Guys, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
They ain't gonna come to y'all neighborhood and do that shit.
It's not worth it, guys. Hey, it's not worth it.
They gotta go. Get them out of here.
They're leaving.
Right now.
They're not it's not worth it.
What y'all want to do?
Hey,
That's the wrong neighborhood.
it's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Let's get it. Get your shit. Get out of here. What happened?
We'll get that. Just it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. Back, bro. It ain't worth it. Back. It ain't worth it. Back, guys, back. Bro, it ain't worth it, man.
It is. You know
it's not worth it.
You know it is.
It ain't worth it for these ass people. Hey. Guys,
y'all gotta get out of here.
It's not worth it. They're leaving.
Get that up out of here. Get your bitch ass out of here. Yeah, these bitch ass playing motherfuckers. We put their ass in the U-Haul and stick them hell. We put them in the U-Haul.
Hey, I gotta go talk to them. They got a car up there still. So we're gonna have to figure out how the hell they're gonna get that, because they can't just walk up there and grab it now.
I don't know. Why y'all, what made y'all come over here?
Blue? Yep. Yes, but unfortunately they left one of their vehicles here. Residents have started to destroy it. They've blasted all the tires. Unfortunately, there's a service dog inside. Lincoln Heights. Yeah. So we don't know what to do. We actually got. Yeah, so
We're gonna need to get a tow.
Yeah, we're gonna have to tow it out of here.
He know it without a shadow of a doubt, and that's crazy that you allowed him to do that.
I like how you're putting words in my mouth.
That's how you feel, because you allowed. You stood on it because you allowed to. You're here to protect and serve. You did not serve because guess what? You got allowed them to drive off in a U-Haul, man. You allowed them to drive off in a U-Haul. Human beings not allowed to drive around in the back of a U-Haul. It's illegal.
We were dispersing them because you guys were coming up.
You let them drive off in a U-Haul. That's wrong.
Yes, and then we got them in vehicles and they're heading back home.
So you protected them then. So you cool with it? You feel how they feel. You feel how they feel about us, man.
What do you think? What do you think I do? I protect and serve. Guess what?
Not
the BLM,
not black
right?
people.
Listen.
Not black people.
Listen.
You don't protect and serve us, man. Because guess what? If you did, you wouldn't have to do all this.
I know you're upset. I'm upset too. Do you think I want to be out here? Do you think I want to be doing this? Do you think I agree with their ideology? I don't. But listen, okay? When the BLM protests, guess what? When they were saying kill officers, kill pigs, guess what I did? I sat there and protected their rights of free speech. I have to do the same for them. I disagreed with the BLM ideology, and I disagree with theirs.
Folks, joining us right now is Pastor Julian Cook, who leads the Lincoln Heights Missionary Baptist Church. He is leading a boycott of the Evendale Police Department. Also, Hamilton County Commissioner Elisa Reese. Glad to have both of you here. Commissioner Reese, I'll start with you. First off, who is leading this investigation into the police department? What is the focus?
Yes, so thank you, first of all, Roland, for having us on. First of all, the people who are leading this investigation is very interesting because we've got multiple jurisdictions. And so Evendale, which we have a lot of questions, and we had a meeting, I had a 14-day investigative report coming from the county administration, bringing together the sheriff's office, who the sheriff is independently elected, bringing the prosecutor's office, who is also independently elected, bringing the city of Evendale, their mayor and chief of police, the mayor of Lincoln Heights, and also our emergency management. And so we wanted to get an investigative report on where is everyone and what has happened. And let me say that day that happened, I did get a late call, and I did get out to Lincoln Heights. What we wanted to do is have the questions that the people have been asking and have them answer the questions. And so there are a lot of questions that have to be answered. So yes, just this week, they came together in 14 days, and we've been working with Pastor Cook and all of the Lincoln Heights as well. And they came together, and we asked directly to Evendale because what we saw on the video was unacceptable. As you know, Roland, I have stood up to the KKK. We took on David Duke down at Grambling State University all the way to Cincinnati as the vice mayor of Cincinnati, trying to stop the KKK from putting a cross on Fountain Square. And now we've got the neo-Nazis coming into our county, and we're saying, listen, we're not going to have a welcome mat. We're not going to roll out the red carpet. We're not going to make it comfortable. We've got to make it hot on the block. You can't set up here. And so there were a number of questions, and I asked directly to the chief of Evendale because, as you can see on the video, they were the ones that their police officers led the neo-Nazis out, and it appeared to have something that people feel was an escort service out. They were the ones saying they're going to go back to Lincoln Heights and pick up their vehicle and drive their vehicle out of Lincoln Heights. They were the ones that also led this group into another community, another city called Laughlin. So we got Lincoln Heights, we got Laughlin, and we've got Evendale. And then the other thing, Roland, they are on a overpass of a major interstate highway. And they were quick to say that these folks were peaceful. They put out a press release that they're peaceful and they left on their own. But the video says differently, and we believe that there are laws on the books where folks should at least gotten Their should have got detained, should have got their ticket, should have been ticketed, and possibly arrested. And so we're trying to get down to the bottom, and now we've turned it over to the prosecutor's office, who now has agreed to come in to help lead the investigation. And Roland, we didn't even have where they were taking the statements. No statements have been taken, witness statements. And now we will have witness statements. The prosecutor office will come in and take the statements, and they'll do it at Lincoln Heights Baptist Church.
Pastor Cook, what do you think the cops did wrong?
Well, I think they did several things wrong. The first would be that they escorted these neo-Nazis to the community in the first place, right? To do so is just egregious. Furthermore, they also took a stance where it really seemed that they were more interested in the protection of the neo-Nazis than they were in caring for a community. Obviously, Nazis coming into a historic black community present an existential threat. That there's no question about that. And so for the police to be more interested in making statements, and we've heard these statements that were made before, and Commissioner Reese is very familiar with them, that this was hateful but lawful. Those are not things that need to be said, right? Lastly, to help to load these neo-Nazis back into the back of a cargo truck when we know that it is illegal to do so in the state of Ohio is egregious. There was no way that if the tables were turned and black folks from Lincoln Heights community had loaded a cargo truck and gone to Evendale with AR-15s, that we would not be looking at a different situation totally. So I think the list abounds, Roland, of all of the infractions and the ways that the police department failed this community, and they need to be held accountable. And particularly, Evendale needs to be held accountable for the way that it has proceeded with this process.
Commissioner Reese, how long do you expect this investigation to take place?
Well, I'm asking them to move as quickly as possible. And because we cannot be the place where people feel like they can set this type of behavior up. We're seeing a tone coming out of Washington.
Absolutely.
And it's hitting the streets, and it just can't hit the streets here in Hamilton County. And I want to say that Lincoln Heights stood up. They came out. The community ran them out of town. It was not the police that ran them out of town. Lincoln Heights said, we're not having it, and they were targeted. This group targeted Lincoln Heights because it is a historical black community. They thought they were going to make a stand, and they messed around and found out, and they got ran out. Now where we are is to make sure that this cannot happen again. We cannot be rolling out red carpet. We cannot be going and giving them escort services on taxpayer dollars. We cannot be making it comfortable for them. And then when the community stands up, then all of a sudden we go into what you call de-escalation, where there never should have been any escalation if we would have handled business. We've got guys in all black with masks jumping out of a U-Haul van, that's already suspicious, going over an overpass of a major highway into a historically black community, and we just cannot tolerate it. And so one of the things that we said we got to have investigation, that's going on, but we also have to secure Lincoln Heights and other communities, and particularly Lincoln Heights right now, because others have come in since that time throwing around flyers for the KKK anniversary celebration. And so this is a serious matter, but we've seen that tone start when it started from the White House, and now it's trying to get down to our house. And we're saying that we're not going to have it down at our house. We got to fight this type of behavior. So we got that investigation. Evendale has also hired some people to also investigate. So we got several investigations going. But again, having the prosecutor in, I want a swift look at what violations may have happened right now and if there needs to be consequences right now. My understanding, these are some groups that came from out of our state. They don't pay taxes here, and yet and still they were, in some cases, when you look at the videos, treated with a more welcoming spirit by some than the taxpayers who've been here their whole lives and are paying taxes to be able to live in their own communities. I also want to say that they were led to a school, so we've got children involved. Kids were in school and were coming out of school and were met with this on the buses, some walking home from school. So this is a safety and justice issue, and we're demanding that we move quickly. I'm glad that in our meeting, we were able to get the 14-day update quickly and bring all the parties together because we didn't have that. And now we are saying, and we were able to get the prosecutor now to step in to investigate. We now will be able to get the people's, get their statements, their witness statements. We didn't have any of those. That will happen now. We also have an alert system that will be going in place for Lincoln Heights because things are still going, and now people will be able to get alert on their phone. And we're working on a safety plan. So we've got a right now plan, but we also got to keep the heat on, and we've got it's turned over to the prosecutor's office, and they will be the ones moving forward from here.
Lastly, Pastor Cook, what do you make of the police officer invoking the Black Lives Matter protests?
Oh, I think it's another example of just how horrible the police response, how irresponsible the police response was. There's no comparison, Brother Roland, no comparison whatsoever to what we saw here at 2:30 in the afternoon when children were being dismissed from their school, neo-Nazis coming into their community, pointing a gun at a black man who was a black business owner and resident of the community who was leaving his office, to point a gun at him, to call him the words that they called him over and over and over again, and then to proceed as if this is non-threatening behavior. That's the language that we've heard used, that this was a peaceful demonstration. It was absolutely not a peaceful demonstration, and to depict it in such a way is unbelievable. Once again, it's another example of why the trust of this community for law enforcement has been so low. I mean, could you blame them? How could you believe that these folks are here to defend and protect you when these types of things are going on? And it is why we have launched and will be launching beginning tomorrow into a boycott of the city of Evendale. We are asking that all people of goodwill from our community in Lincoln Heights, but all over Cincinnati, all over our area, do not spend your dollars in Evendale. And the goal of that is not simply about punishing Evendale. It is to push for the moral imperative, right, in Evendale. We are asking for business owners, and we do believe that there are good people of goodwill in Evendale. We are asking you should not be okay with the fact that your tax dollars are being used to support this type of behavior from law enforcement and this lack of accountability from your city officials. So if you believe that, let's put your money where your values are. And let's do the best we can to push this community to be held accountable. Commissioner Reese talked a little bit ago about the investigation that has ensued. They brought in a private investigator in Evendale. They've done so, though, without any collaboration with leaders in Lincoln Heights. So the investigator, we have no idea if this is someone that we trust, if this is a reputable entity. We don't know because we've not been included in that conversation. If we are your closest abutting neighbor, it would seem to me that you would include us in that conversation if you were really about the work of restoration and repair. And there can be no restoration and repair until there is true accountability. And that's what we are planning to do through this boycott of Evendale. And we are asking all people of goodwill to participate. And we know that there are folks all over this state who have said they are going to support us in this boycott.
All right, Pastor Cook, Commissioner Reese, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for carrying the story.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Introducing my panel right now, Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University, joining us out of D.C. Reese Colbert, host the Reese Colbert Show on Sirius XM Radio, also out of D.C. And Dr. Nola Haynes, Georgetown University, School of Foreign Service, also out of D.C. Glad to have all three of you here. It was quite interesting, Reese. Some of the videos were circulating. It showed some of those African Americans brandishing their weapons. And I had to remind some people, Ohio, open carry state, it applies to Black people too.
Right. Well, I mean, I want to see more of the footage of the cops' interactions with the Nazis, with the neo-Nazis. They're more than happy to release video of Black people being irate, which I think we need to see more of. Be clear, I'm not opposed to that. But they didn't show us much of their obviously extensive interaction protecting those people who, as they just pointed out, are not residents. They don't have equal rights in the sense of, you know, the police force should really be more focused on protecting their residents than protecting them from, or then protecting outside agitators. But, you know, I respect that the residents forced this so-called demonstration, this is really actually terrorism, to come to an end. Because if the police had their way, they would have just been sitting up there, a lot of gagging all damn day, brandishing a neo-Nazi flags and things like that. And so we are on our own in this environment, in this society. We always have been. I'm sure most people would argue, but we are on our own, and we have to make them uncomfortable to come into our spaces. And, what would also make them more uncomfortable if the police did not basically provide armor for them. They don't do that for Black people. If this was Black people protesting, they would have been up there with tear gas and all kind of shit. But when it comes to the neo-Nazis, they're trying to escort their cars. They're trying to escort them and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, I think that, when it comes to this environment, we have to protect ourselves. And I'm happy that, the police didn't do anything to the Black people, because we know that regardless of who is antagonizing us, regardless of who's in the wrong, they tend to exert more force on Black residents. But this is definitely an indication of things that are to come. Those neo-Nazis fucked around and found out they're in the wrong neighborhood, but I don't think that they'll be stopped from trying this again in other neighborhoods where they'll feel a lot safer.
Nola, it was clear that residents were having none of it, and we've seen this happen beforehand, and so folk got to be on guard.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, and we've all been talking about this collectively for a long time, about what Black folks will have to do to protect ourselves. And again, I want to reiterate, tell all women out there to get self-defense training classes. I am so serious about that. We are living in very different times. One of the things that stuck out to me as I was watching the video was how the cops were talking to both groups. The way in which tone went up, tone went down. At times, there was kind of Black speech, to kind of, I guess, assuage the Black people by saying this ain't worth it and putting the emphasis on ain't, and then speaking really calmly, to the white supremacists who came into a neighborhood that was not theirs. And it's all of these different things that that not only make us feel the way that we feel, because it's beyond a feeling. I mean, we, like Reese said, we are on our own. So what does that mean? A lot of us are going to have to start thinking about things that are maybe uncomfortable, that we don't want to think about. And to be perfectly honest with you, I am one of those people. I don't want to have to think about how to protect my life, right? Because we were brought up in a world, we were brought up in a country that said that's not something that you were supposed to be thinking about. It's okay, little Black girl, to go to college, right? It's okay to get married and have a family and live the American dream. And here we are in 2025 in Trump's America. Well, that American dream is a lot of people's living nightmares right now. And so we have to start thinking about different ways to protect ourselves.
To that point, Greg, you don't have a federal government that will be protecting folks. You've got a federal government, we'll talk about a little bit later, that doesn't give a damn about Black people, that believes that white people are victims, and you see it in all of their actions.
Yes, we do. And Commissioner Reese hit the nail on the head when she said that the tone has been set, the message has been sent out. The first thing the white nationalists do, of course, is wrap themselves in the First Amendment and talk about freedom of speech. And they're absolutely right to do so. They wrap themselves in arming themselves, Second Amendment, and they're absolutely right to do so. The standard, of course, that we are all talking about now, that we heard you talking about with Pastor Cook and Commissioner Reese, is the question of, if the people are different, would there be a different standard applied? One of the restrictions on the First Amendment, freedom of speech, is, of course, the time, place, and manner restriction. That could easily be triggered, say, if there had been other types of flags, and clearly those white nationalists are putting a Nazi flag out there to intimidate, and there are certain contexts where intimidation could be considered a time, place, and manner restriction. If those flags had been, say, a kill white people flags, people say, well, that's not the same as a Nazi flag. Absolutely, the Nazi flag is meant to send a particular message. Some protected classes, the idea of non-whites, and so forth. you could say that you might be able, you could certainly do that on private property. You can even do it on public property. However, to do it on an overpass that could trigger car accidents or people looking up and coming in very distracted, you could make the argument that the municipality would be well within its means to say you got to come off that overpass. I mean, there are exceptions and restrictions is what I'm saying. So beyond the offensiveness of the speech, if we're just talking strictly legally, there were some options that could have been available to law enforcement, it seems to me, and there should be some civil lawsuits, or at least looking into some possibilities of taking some legal action. Now, setting that aside and holding that distinct, again, finally, as Commissioner Reese said, the message has been sent. I take no pleasure in continuing to say that this criminal enterprise is going to come apart. These are the same confrontations we have seen at every moment in this funky criminal enterprise's history, when whiteness has been emboldened enough to act boldly with the thing that has been in its heart since the inception of this criminal enterprise. The difference between now and previous iterations, previous generations, is that the demographics continue to shift. And as we saw those brothers and sisters get ready to handle their business, we are simply not going to take it anymore. Law enforcement better be very careful as these white nationalists purge the military in preparation to use the military as a weapon against folk. You're going to find out that this violence will not only go unchecked, it may be that this violence assumes a kind of critical mass that once you have crossed the threshold, you can't return to normalcy. They're playing with fire at this point. And I'm talking about beyond the law. I'm talking about the literal sentiments being expressed in this country are lighting matches. And once we cross that threshold, I'm not sure what happens after that.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $6.65 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.